Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions sets another record for winning bids, surpassing the old mark by $50,000.
We'll step back and catch up on a few of the details of the U.S. Senate's Farm Bill debate.
In Southern gardening, Gary has some plants that can make it Valentine's Day all year long in your landscape.
In the markets, cattle are still positive despite a boxed beef price retreat. And the USDA makes larger than expected cuts to corn ending stocks.
In the feature segment, most plants won't grow without them, and the result of their work is sweet. I'm talking about honeybees. We'll visit two Mississippi honey operations, Broke Tea Honey of Philadelphia and Prairie Blossom Bee Farm of Mayhew. They not only produce honey, they also make many bee-related products.
Bees has been with us since the beginning of time, and they're going to continue to be with us. It's just there's bumps in the road and going to continue to be bumps in the road, but there's going to be people that can handle it and take care of them, and they're going to make it.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
It is the pinnacle of the junior livestock show circuit in Mississippi, and it has raised the bar once again.
Leighton, 2014 marked the 45th time the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions was held in Jackson. It was fitting the sale set a new record for total money paid by the highest bidders, more than $369,000. 44 hogs, goats, lambs, and steers qualified for the sale ring at the Dixie National. That's less than 2% of the 3,000 animals that came to Jackson and participated in the Dixie National Junior Roundup. All total, $369,150 in winning bids were made. That exceeded last year's record by $50,000. Since the sale began in 1970, more than almost $5.5 million have been raised for Mississippi 4-H and FFA members. Next week, the 2014 sale will be the focus of the Farm Week feature story by Amy Taylor.
Next, we're going to follow up on some of the details of the passing of the Farm Bill. President Obama signed it into law a week ago Friday. The Tuesday before that, the U.S. Senate passed it, but not until there were many days of debate.
Farm Bill that stands up for our ranchers.
After years of setbacks, the Farm Bill, a measure authorizing nearly $100 billion in annual federal spending, finally emerged from Congress. Debate stretched over 2 days as senators from both sides of the aisle argued for and against approval of the conference committee report. In the end, however, lawmakers praised the compromise.
This Farm Bill contains the greatest reforms to agricultural programs in decades. We have finally ended direct payment subsidies, which are given to farmers in good times and bad. Instead, we shift to a responsible risk management approach that only gives farmers assistance when they experience a loss.
The risk management policies in the bill recognize the regional differences in priorities of agriculture production throughout the country. The commodity and crop insurance titles of the conference report reflect how Congress can work effectively to support American agriculture and at the same time be responsible to taxpayers.
North Dakota Senator John Hoeven also praised the bill and stressed its importance to all Americans.
The farmers and ranchers we have in this country produce the highest quality, lowest cost food supply in the world.
One of the biggest shifts in policy was the demise of direct payments, which paid farmers regardless of prices or yields. Instead, lawmakers improved a more market-based crop insurance support program. Most of the $4.5 billion annual cost would kick in when a farmer has losses. One of the biggest opponents to the bill was the American meat industry. It wanted the removal of a mandate requiring packers to implement mandatory cool standards.
And it continues strong country of origin labeling so as consumers know where their meat was born, raised, and processed, giving them the option to buy U.S.-made meat if they so choose.
The legislation was not without opposition in farm states. Republican Senator Charles Grassley, a farmer from Iowa, said too much of the bill was done behind closed doors. He also cited the removal of language that would have reworked subsidy eligibility and accurately defined who could be considered a farmer.
Frankly, when farmers that shouldn't be getting big payments from the farm program get them, subsidizing large farmers to get larger is, in my estimation, wrong.
Arizona Republican John McCain took issue with spending to improve the marketing of sheep in the maple syrup industry, catfish research, and even attacks on Christmas trees.
How are we supposed to restore the American people's confidence with this monstrosity? The only policy that gets bipartisan traction in Congress is Washington's desire to hand out taxpayer money like it's candy.
This conference report certainly isn't perfect. As with any legislation that is this important and far-reaching, it's impossible to fully satisfy everybody. But this is a reasonable compromise.
The deal also drew criticisms on where cuts were made to provide savings. Overall spending of the life of the bill is $956.4 billion, and nearly 80% of the funds will go to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. The program, formerly known as food stamps, currently helps 1 in 7 Americans. Nevertheless, one Southern lawmaker says the farm policy bore the brunt of the cuts.
But you're cutting $8 billion from the 20% of the program and the other $8 billion from the 80% of the program. And that's not balanced.
Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont said the nutrition spending cuts should not have been a question up for debate.
Feed children in America so they might actually learn when they're at school? Oh, we can't afford that. Come on. Feeding those hungry children is an investment in the future of this great nation.
In the end, very little drama occurred in the vote as the bill passed by a margin of nearly 2 to 1.
If not, on this vote, the yeas are 68, the nays are 32, and the conference report is agreed to.
Valentine's Day is a special day of the year, and this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension Horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us how to grow plants that can celebrate that special someone through all the seasons.
Valentine's Day, the season of love. Don't limit your affections for that special someone to just a single day. As a gardener, your love can bloom all year round.
Yeah, baby.
Planting gomphrena in the landscape symbolizes an unfading love. If you want to set off fireworks of love in your garden, then try Fireworks Gomphrena, a 2010 Mississippi Medallion winner. The flowers are produced in prodigious numbers and are a long-lasting, hot, iridescent pink that are sure to create colorful explosions all season long. A perfect love can seem like paradise.
That's paradise.
For the tropical summer garden, bird of paradise plants are a great choice, and they symbolize fervent devotion. The exotic flowers do indeed resemble a bird. Love sees with the heart, and the heart-shaped leaves of caladium show the abundance of your love. These plants are grown for their colorful foliage, including romantic reds and wedding day whites. And every landscape has space for these plants. No plant symbolizes the warm and fuzzy feeling of love more than chenille firetails. Commonly grown as an indoor plant, chenille hates cold and frigid behavior.
Oh, not here.
But once all chance of frost is past, this full sun plant loves the hot, steamy summers in Mississippi. I don't normally watch television for advice on love, but when I do, it's Southern gardening. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman.
Was that Barry White I heard in the background?
I think so.
Gary says that Fireworks Gomphrena has another advantage. It will thrive in poor soils and heat. In the feature segment today, Mississippi honey. Producing honey is hard work. You'll visit two families from Philadelphia and Mayhew who say it's worth the effort. Time now for the Marcus with Layton. And you say the government has lowered the corn ending stocks.
That they did back on Monday. Brian Williams will have some analysis coming up. Also ahead in the markets, the cotton figures and the supply-demand estimates were overshadowed by the Cotton Council survey. Boxed beef prices retreat, and hogs enjoy strong demand here in mid-February. We begin in row crops with a look back at what Monday's supply-demand report had to say about corn and soybeans. Extension Ag economist Brian Williams joined me Thursday morning to review the numbers. Brian, could we call the numbers on the corn side of the supply-demand report kind of the biggest headline?
I think so. I think the corn was the biggest player of all of our major crops.
And what were those numbers placed at?
Well, we had the corn stocks were placed at about 1.48 billion bushels. That's down quite a bit from the 1.63 in the January report.
What would you say was the primary reason or reasons that that cut was made?
The big mover was exports. We exported 150 million more bushels than what we were expecting.
What about their price projections? Did that change much in this month's report?
It did. They bumped up the price projections by an average of 10% over the January report. So right now the average is 450.
All right, well, turning to soybeans, what was the update on the soybean projections?
Well, there is no change on soybeans for the February report.
So basically any reason for why that, because that's a little bit unusual, isn't it?
It is. I think the market and most experts were expecting them to decrease the ending stocks, but really all they did was just kind of move things around a little bit. All
right, and the price forecast for beans, how did that come out?
They increased the price forecast by about 20 cents, up to about $12.70 a bushel.
All right, I've seen some reports about potential U.S. soybean sales to China, some new exports. Is that kind of picking up?
Yeah, and even in the report, we had a 15 million bushel increase in exports, and the export market seems to be strong. There's a little bit of concern now with Brazil's harvest picking up, and they're going to start putting some soybeans onto the market to add some competition in there, though.
So it looks like exports will be strong for soybeans, needless to say.
Yeah, they are.
And finally, what are you expecting prices to do for soybeans overall as we get closer to planting time?
Overall, I'm not real bullish on the soybean markets. Looking at the futures market, the big interesting thing I see is that there's a $2 differential between the March futures contract and the fall November futures contract.
As for cotton, Dones reports the WASDE numbers were a little negative for U.S. balance sheets while being a little positive at the global level. The National Cotton Council's 31st annual planting survey, released back on February 8th, somewhat overshadowed the new government numbers that came out Monday. The NCC reports U.S. producers intend to plant 11.2 million acres of cotton this spring, an increase of slightly over 8% from 2013. Now, Mississippi has the largest percentage increase among Mid-South states, over 34% more cotton acres than in 2013. Our trivia quiz this week concerns the dairy industry in the state, and here is the question. How many milk cows are there in Mississippi as of January 1? Is the answer 10,000 head or 13,000 head, as high as 38,000 head, or even up to 49,000 head? I'll tell you the answer at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Leighton Spann reports that the outlook for fed cattle remains positive while hog weights are moving up. In the feature segment today, we will visit two Mississippi honey operations who say it's not a business for the lazy. It's hard work.
Each year, many Mississippians are seriously injured or killed when farm tractors overturn. One cause of these accidents is improper hitching. If a tractor is hitched at any point above the drawbar, it can flip over backwards. Never hitch a tractor using the bar between the 3-point hitch upper and lower links or at the top link attachment point. The stationary drawbar is the only safe location for tractor hitching. A message from the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Now, before we get back to the rest of the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. A food safety workshop is planned for Mississippi produce growers on Monday, February 17th. The location is the Boss Extension Service Auditorium on the MSU campus in Starkville. This workshop will help growers gain certification and learn how to grow high-quality fruits and vegetables. The MSU workshop is free, but a farmer must pay for an independent audit of his farm to complete the certification. Cost share assistance is available through the Mississippi Department of Ag and Commerce. Mississippi State University's 2014 Greenhouse Tomato Short Course is Tuesday and Wednesday, March 4th and 5th. The location is the Eagle Ridge Conference Center on Raymond Lake Road in Raymond. This short course has attracted growers from more than 25 states and foreign countries. Register by February 20th and the fee is $175. It's $200 at the door. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
We turn to livestock now in our market segment. Many analysts think fat cattle are still positive despite a little retreat recently in boxed beef. Trader Don Roos thinks consumers got a little spooked in late January by rising prices and some demand was indeed lost.
In 1 month, we moved the boxed beef, the beef at the consumer level up 20%. It was just too much too fast. So I think what happened is the packer was making about $100 a head as the beef spiked up there. He paid, like you say, $150 for cash cattle in Nebraska, $147 in the Southern Plains. And since that time frame, we've seen the boxed beef retreat. It's retreated now. It's going down about as fast as it went up. It's going back down to the high level that we were last year. So I think it's still very much a positive market. It's a bull market, but I think it's one that we went up too fast. We lost some of our demand. Now we're starting to rebuild it. And so watch for the boxed beef to stabilize somewhere between probably 207, 211, and then we should have a resumption of the upside again.
On the pork side of the livestock market, heavy hogs are the main headline this month. Analyst Naomi Bloom says there's a nice balance of supply and demand going on right now.
The hogs that are coming to market right now are so heavy. They are heavy, heavy animals because, of course, when you have cheap feed, sure, why not feed them up? But the demand on the same side is so strong too. So we have a very nice balance and equilibrium of supply and demand. So that's keeping that February market just steady. But the reason that the April contract is so high and even the June contract so much higher is because they're expecting seasonally production to fall because that's what happens in those months. And then also this PED virus is out of control. 23 states now, 23 states. And it's even up in Ontario. For the first time this week, it was found there. And now they're saying it's going to take over a year until it's under control.
Before our feature story today, let's check the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is B. The January 1 inventory found 13,000 head of milk cows in the state, a decrease of 7% from a year ago.
In our feature segment today, Mississippi Honey. Broke Tea Honey of Philadelphia and Prairie Blossom Bee Farm of Mayhew are seeing great success after making the most of the educational resources offered by the Mississippi State University Extension Service. By remaining updated on the latest information and beekeeping practices, these two operations are maximizing their business efficiency. Farmweek's Amy Taylor first brought us this story last fall.
As consumers learn more about the positive effects of natural food products and shopping locally, two Mississippi businesses are striving to enhance the quality of their honey products. Owners and operators of Broke Tea Honey in Philadelphia, along with Prairie Blossom Bee Farm located in Mayhew, say the knowledge they gain from Mississippi State University Extension Service helps their businesses thrive. MSU Extension apiculturist Dr. Jeff Harris explains the services offered.
So we do a little bit of everything: workshops, presentations to beekeeping groups, a lot of training. We also are in the, making literature that will be distributed for beekeepers, so on how to handle some of the new problems like the varroa mite and the small hive beetle. We're working on that now. So we do written literature and education, we do on-hands education and workshops, and then I do one-on-one with beekeepers a lot.
Additionally, Dr. Harris says research is being conducted to develop pest-resistant bees that can stand up to the varroa mite. Johnny Thompson runs Broke Tea Honey with his parents, Kenneth and Joan, in Philadelphia, where they sell natural honey and queen bees for breeding. It's difficult to briefly explain the process of beekeeping, but Thompson gives a quick summary of how a hive operates.
There's 3 types of bees in every hive. You've got the workers are all females. The queen is female, but the queen is the only one that's able to lay eggs. So she lays all the eggs, does all the reproduction for the hive. The males are the drones, and they're there just to mate with any queen.
In order to grow the queen, Thompson says the fertilized cell of the bee is placed in what's called a nuke.
When we put a queen cell in that nuke, she hatches, emerges the next day, and stays in that nuke 3 weeks. She will go out and mate, can't come back, start laying, and 3 weeks later we will go in and take that queen out of that nuke, mark her, cage her, sell her, and then the next day put a queen cell back in and start that cycle over again.
Thompson says because Broke Tea honey bees are not exposed to any chemically treated plants, the honey is as natural as it gets. Mark Lewis, who owns and operates Prairie Blossom Bee Farm with his wife Carrie, says watching bees cure the honey is fascinating and explains the harvesting process.
They cure it to a 17% moisture, and when they get the moisture correct, they put a wax cap on it. And once they've capped an entire frame and then they've capped an entire box, I take that whole box with me to the house to be harvested, and you can cut the caps off with a knife, or you can scrape them off with a what they call a decapping tool. And once you take them off, you put them in like a centrifuge that spins it around. You orient them to the sides, and the centrifugal force spins the honey out. The honey flows to the bottom of the tank. You run it through a filter, and you're done.
Lewis says local honey makes a great gift, and local soap products are also produced at Prairie Blossom Bee Farm. Kenneth Thompson with Broke Tea says one of the unique aspects of selling honey is the fact that no 2 jars of honey are exactly the same shade of color.
Well, it depends on what the bees are collecting. Different flowers give off different shades of nectar. So that nectar, then when it turns into honey, when it's dried down to the honey, it's all different colors.
Thompson says Broke Tea sells a spring, summer, and fall honey. Additionally, Joan Thompson says there are health benefits involved in eating pure honey.
Well, one of your benefits is it's one of your best antibiotics. I've had people come that said they had gone to doctors for years for their sinus and allergies, and since they've been eating the honey, they haven't been to the doctor in 2 years. And each year we do what we call Ag in the Classroom, which we do in the north, central, and southern parts of the state in June. We go in, we teach the teachers so they can teach the children where their food comes from.
Thompson says honey is also a healthy and natural sugar substitute for cooking. In addition to selling honey, she also started making lip balm from leftover beeswax. When asked about his views on the fear of bee populations dying out, Kenneth Thompson says he isn't worried.
Bees has been with us since the beginning of time, and they're going to continue to be with us. It's just there's bumps in the road, and going to continue to be bumps in the road, but there's going to be people that can handle it and take care of them, and they're going to make it.
As demand increases for natural, locally produced food sources, Broke Tea honey Prairie Blossom Bee Farm and Mississippi State University Extension Service say they look forward to being part of a movement that helps generate a healthy population for our bees. I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
You can watch this feature story on Prairie Blossom Bee Farm and Broke Tea Honey again on our Farm Week website, Facebook page, or YouTube. We'll have their contact information as well as their on our webpage, which is farmweek.msucares.com. And of course, Broke Tea Honey and Prairie Blossom, you can get their products via their website, but Broke Tea Honey is also now in the Whole Food store in Jackson. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll have the highlights of the 2014 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions from Jackson.
That sale set a new record for winning bids, a total of more than $369,000. Scholarships were also awarded to non-winners as well.
In Southern Gardening, Gary Bachman channels Rod Serling and takes us to the garden zone. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.